I always wonder who of my cosmic characters is going to show up for videos, and so far, nobody. It's just me, Bobby Burrows, the actor. Okay, so my cosmic characters have initiated a grand plan, and to understand it, you have to be a little bit into people that are into what's known as Earth Ascension, which is a change from the regular 3D world that we're all used to through a 4D world of kind of a mixed bag between physical and non physical to a fifth dimension, which is, well, what was promised by the band The Fifth Dimension and the song The Age of Aquarius, which came out in the very late 1960s. So, to give you the update of the story, humans have been living in 3D, which is a very low dimension as far as all the dimensions go. It's a very physical dimension, and there is very, very little contact with what we consider spirit or God. In other words, people are run by their egos. Now, what is happening with Earth Ascension? Well, Ascension was talked about a little bit in Stargate, and I was not an expert in Stargate as far as who ascended and what happened. I was actually an extra in Stargate a few times, but that's a sidebar. But the most famous person ever to ascend was Jesus of Nazareth. And everyone knows that after Jesus died on the cross and was put in his tomb, he apparently went to hell, and then he came back, and then they found him outside of the tomb alive, and he had, on his hand, he had the marks of the nails, and on his side, a mark where the spear had gone into him, and etc., etc. And he hung around for about 3 months with his friends, and then even today the churches celebrate Ascension Day, when Jesus of Nazareth ascended. And, if you put this all together, all you can say is, well, where did he ascend to? And people used to say heaven, but, the people that are talking about these multiple dimensions say he ascended to higher dimensions. I'm a very generalist when it comes to all this kind of metaphysical information. I've heard a lot of it, and I'm not an expert in a lot of this stuff. I'm just very much a generalist, so I can give you this general viewpoint. Now, this also comes and ties in with the people who have been into UFOs and extraterrestrials. Because it turns out that a lot of the extraterrestrials apparently are not living in our dimension at all. They live in the upper fourth dimension and a fifth dimension and higher dimensions. And apparently, the higher your dimension goes, the less you have even a body. All you are is pure consciousness at higher and higher dimensions. Strange as that might seem, how you could have a consciousness without a physical form, without a physical brain. But those are the facts that are presented by people who channel these beings, and there's plenty of them on YouTube and on the internet in general. So, where am I going with all this? Well, the stories that I tell on my YouTube channel here are comedy, and they're supposed to also help educate you on this Earth Ascension stuff, and there's social commentary about the Illuminati, who are the bad guys that run the planet. And, last night, some of my characters decided that they were going to take some reptilian Draco weapons and send them through a Stargate to the higher dimensions, because they are quite annoyed that in the higher dimensions, these ascended masters and various other extraterrestrials called the Guardians are not helping us down here on planet Earth, So they figured that they would send some of these things that are perhaps made in CERN in the super colliders, or maybe they were just brought here by the reptilian Draco, who are transdimensionals from Orion. You know, it's just part of the story that goes along with extraterrestrials and UFOs. You get the reptilians, who are kind of the bad guys, and then you've got things like the Pleiadians, who are the good guys. And anyway, so some of my characters have decided to go and, well, one of them is Colonel Cliff Serene, who, you know, as the story goes on my channel here, he is in search of strangelit and toplit bombs with his assistant Sergeant Fogelis. And where did I find out about this? Disclosure News Italia talked about these things, and that's where I first came up with. And then I didn't know what a toplit bomb or a strangelit bomb was. I had no idea. This is apparently the reason why the extraterrestrials, the good guys, won't come to planet Earth, because they're afraid that the Draco reptilians are going to blow up toplit and strangelit bombs. Well, it turns out that toplit and strangelit bombs are kind of quantum bombs that you can, well, toplit is like top spin, and strange is another kind of spin on these kind of quarks and things. So it's some kind of a quantum bomb, and that is why they don't want to come here, because they say the reptilians have got them. To me, it's all kooky and crazy, but it's just part of, you know, how I make my comedy. I base it all on this kooky, crazy stuff called Earth Ascension and extraterrestrials and UFOs. And all my cosmic characters that I do just love to talk about this kind of stuff, most of them. So anyway, that's what the idea was. Colonel Serene and Fogelis are going to, because they're always out searching for these strangelit and toplit bombs, and when they find them, they're going to give them to my friend Rumpelstiltskin, who you know from the TV show Once Upon a Time, Mr. Gold. Robert Carlyle is the actor that plays it. I don't know Robert Carlyle, and I have nothing to do with Once Upon a Time, and I didn't even know the show existed. My cosmic character Rumpelstiltskin came and introduced himself to me long before I'd ever heard of Once Upon a Time, and I didn't know who Rumpelstiltskin was other than a fifth-dimensional dark elf. And the other one that wants to be in on this is... who else wants to be in on this? I guess it's me, because I'm the actor that plays Rumpelstiltskin. Not really, once in a blue moon. But I do play Colonel Serene quite a bit. And the other cosmic characters are kind of sitting this one out. So, and how's this going to be done? Well, Rumpelstiltskin is from the fairy realm. And everyone knows that fairies have got special powers. They're kind of like, I suppose they're like magicians in Harry Potter. They have got all kinds of abilities. I don't know if they actually do spells, but they do things called glamour, which is kind of, well, I don't know. You can look up fairies and see that they do have magic. So Rumpelstiltskin has got magic, and Colonel Serene tracks down these toplit, strangelit bombs, and the two of them are going to arrange to, well, this is all in this story. Just so you know, we don't have any strangelit and toplit bombs, just so you know. This is all part of my comedy routine, so don't get your knickers in a knot. It is just the comedy routine that I continuously do to entertain you, so that you can be educated about all the kooks that are on YouTube talking about extraterrestrials from the Pleiades and Draco and Arcturus and various other places, and Earth Ascension. There's quite a few people that talk about that, and Ascension symptoms, and it sort of just brings you up to date on what's going on. And Colonel Serene is an old character that I did long before I ever met Rumpelstiltskin and the fairy people, and so I kind of brought him back, and I think he's kind of mutinied because he feels like the top levels of the U.S. government are filthy and corrupt, and we all know that Donald Trump was elected to drain the swamp and hasn't done so. So where does this all go? Well, nothing is going anywhere, just so you know. It is just me updating you that, you know, when they talk, it is because they are just characters that I do, and we don't have bombs. We never had bombs. Colonel Serene is a comic book character. There is no such thing as a real Colonel Cliff Serene. He is just a character that I do. Rumpelstiltskin is definitely a character, and whether he is an elf or some other kind of being, I don't know, but he is definitely real. And he talks to me by telepathy. Let's just say it's telepathy, and all my cosmic characters talk to me by telepathy. How else would you describe it when an actor, produces characters? When Robert Carlyle does Rumpelstiltskin, how does he do Rumpelstiltskin? Actors act, and, we portray characters. So I'm portraying Colonel Serene, and I don't know if I'm actually going to portray Rumpelstiltskin, because this character very rarely wants to come and be portrayed. That's about all I'm going to tell you about that. As for, I always wear t-shirts on this channel and hats, and they are always significant, just so you know. So this one is the CN Tower in Toronto, Canada. And this hat is a little alien. So this hat, I call this hat Alienation, because it's about alienation, being alienated from, basically everything. And Alien Nation, because, it's about extraterrestrials and UFOs. And this one, I always talk about as being a tarot card. And the tarot card is the Tower, which is the Great CN Tower, which at one time, 1977, when it was finished, was the tallest freestanding structure on the whole planet, and now there's taller ones. But the Tower, for us on this channel, always refers to the towering ego. And, Earth Ascension is a lot to do with tying up a lot of loose ends when it comes to egos. We have enormous egos still running the planet. No one say Mr. Trump doesn't have a huge ego, and all the rest of those politicians. And what are egos all about? Well, mostly about three things: sex, money, and power. And what are spiritual people about? Well, if you're the evil emperor, you're mostly about power, I think. I don't think he's much into sex, and I don't think he cares about money. It's basically just power. So that would be one pole of spirituality, because he's definitely spiritual. He's all about the Force. He uses the Force, so he knows that, things are spiritual, and everything else, that people don't believe in it, well, he doesn't give a rat's ass, because, he's running the whole empire, and, so... definitely the one pole, the evil emperor, is a spiritual person, strangely enough. The other pole would be Buddha, Jesus of Nazareth, and various other people that are recognized as kind of on the good side of the Force, if there is a Force. But that's the sort of polarity between evil emperor and Jesus or Buddha. Now, the Ascended Masters are... Well, have I met an Ascended Master? Sort of, yes. Yes. How did that happen? Well, I used to go to channelings. A man used to go into trance, and a different personality altogether came through, and... It was the Ascended Master, Sananda, most of the time, and I think Saint Germain might have come through before, once or twice. But Sananda was the main one. Now, this Sananda is a lot like my comic characters, when I do Colonel Serene, or, Vasily Fisk, the metaphysical investigator, these other characters that I do. Well, this person was acting, and the character, Sananda, would come through, and that's who he would act as, and Sananda would tell us all about, what was going on from his perspective. So, an Ascended Master, Sananda, said that in one of his previous lives as a earth human, he said he was Jesus of Nazareth. Well, everyone knows there's a lot of crazy people running around, anyway, it's saying that they are Jesus of Nazareth. Even on television show, well, it's pretty old for you young people, but Barney Miller had somebody in their little lockup in the police station at the 12th precinct of New York, and somebody said that they were Jesus, and they're definitely considered mentally ill people. But this person that was channeling Sananda was, well, from your perspective, acting like this so-called ascended master. Now, definitely had a lot of information for us. It was small groups that would come and spend several hours at this location and do question and answer and hear what Sananda would have to say. But in a nutshell, what Sananda was saying is that we are at what he called harvest time. What is harvest time? Well, it depends on you whether you look at it from a very dark perspective or a very light perspective. The dark perspective is harvest time is basically harvesting your soul and giving it to the devil, Satan. Is Sananda Satan? Possibly. The other one is what Sananda was indicating. Harvest time was basically your promotion or ascension to higher dimensions. Okay, so which do I believe? I'm not given to believe anything. I'm an actor, and I just, tell you what comes to my mind. So either you believe Sananda is Satan, as some people on the internet say, or he is an ascended master in league with, I don't know, well, Saint Germain, as I said, and Hilarion and some other ones. You can look up the ascended masters, Mother Mary, Lanto, Lao Tzu, various other ones. You can look them up, the ascended masters. Let's see. So, Bob Ross, who is one of our cosmic characters, the Thunder from Down Under, did a very long lecture. Well, not that long. But he said basically that he was fed up because he felt that a lot of people on the planet were not working towards spiritual enlightenment and that we were going to have a very poor harvest. In other words, the number of people that were going to ascend to higher dimensions was going to be very small. Now, if you listen to the commentators on YouTube about this, they have various stories, but a very common story is that some people who are very spiritual are going to ascend and be harvested. Some people are going to go to another 3D planet, like the planet that we all grew up on, and continue their 3D games, in other words, sex, money, and power for the rich, and the rest of them being kind of slaves or drones or sheeple for those people. Those people that are, the sex, money, and power people at the top are known as the Illuminati. And, there's lots of information on the Illuminati all over the internet and YouTube too. So that is where they will go. They will go to a 3D planet and continue to play their 3D games. The spiritual people will ascend to higher dimensions. And then there is an offshoot of this theory that says that there will be a third group who aren't really Illuminati, and they aren't really Illuminati drones, but they aren't highly spiritual either. And these people will be playing a game in the fourth dimension where they were going to have to pick a side. Either they're going to have to pick to join the dark Illuminati or the light people. I don't know if you would still call them Jedi or whatever, but basically the opposite of the Illuminati is going to be someone like Luke Skywalker and Yoda. So if you are following this, where am I going to go? Well, if you follow this little three-way split, I should be ascending because I'm a very spiritual person and I've been very spiritual for many years. And but the question comes, who's going to help out the 3D people, when they split and they go to some other place to keep playing the Illuminati versus the sheeple people game. And I assume that some of these spiritual people are going to be sent to help the 3D people somehow, as they always have been. As far as staying in 4D, I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I should ascend, but I'm not in control of it all. And I don't even know if it's real. What do I know is real? Synchronicities are real. So, if you don't know what synchronicity is, it's meaningful coincidences. You can look up the great father of psychology, Carl Jung, Jung, who was all about synchronicity. You can go and YouTube, go and look for the rock band The Police, and they have two songs, Synchronicity 1 and Synchronicity 2. One talks about synchronicity and the other one is kind of I don't know if it's really useful, but there's two songs, Synchronicity 1 and Synchronicity 2, which is all about Carl Jung and synchronicity. So does synchronicity happen for me? Absolutely, all the time. What else happens to me? I see, have you heard of the 11:11 phenomenon, when you just happen to glance at a clock and it says 11:11, or, various other times of the day and it's 11, or I see many other number codes. And I saw on my Facebook memories yesterday, it said that I made a post 10 years ago, and I noted 10 years ago into Facebook that I was seeing 11:11 then. So 11:11 is supposed to be a universal wake-up code for harvest time or ascension. If you're not seeing synchronicities, how can you start seeing synchronicities? Meditate. Meditate, meditate. How do you meditate? Well, what you do is you sit, like this you can either sit in a chair or a couch. You'll sit like this. You'll focus your attention up here on your forehead, and you may close your eyes if you want, or you don't have to, and focus there. Keep breathing. And now you are meditating. This is the most easy and simple method for meditating. How long should you do this for? The experts say you should do it for at least an hour a day. So maybe you want to do it an hour in the morning and an hour in nighttime to go and try and speed this up. But the more you meditate, the more likely it is you're going to start seeing synchronicities and odd things happen to you. If you don't meditate, what's going to happen? Probably nothing. Why do you meditate? Well, this is a basic meditation. And, there's lots of books on meditation. What do I recommend? Try not to read a lot of books on meditation. Try to do what I just said. Sit. Focus your attention up here. Close your eyes and sit. Do you need mood music? No, you don't need anything. You can go a nice patch of grass if you live someplace where it's warm. If it's cold, then, in somebody's house or apartment, it's fine. And what do you do when you're focusing your attention on there? You focus on your breathing too. So pay attention to your breathing. Focus up here if you can. And it's hard to sit for an hour. What happens? Well, your mind goes, and your mind will, do the things that minds do. It will tell you, well, you should go make some popcorn, and you should go to the bathroom, and you're cold and you need a blanket, and your legs are sore and you need a pillow under your bum, and then might talk up to you about your friends, family, your work situation, all the problems you've got, money problems, problems of the world, politics. Minds will go off in 10 million different directions. That's what minds do. So what you're supposed to do when you're meditating is you're supposed to learn to be the neutral observer. In other words, you're supposed to go and find a place within yourself where you're still. And then you have to disengage from the idea that the thoughts in your mind are your thoughts, number one. They are not. Every meditation teacher that's worth his salt will tell you that is the whole point of meditation, is that you watch the thoughts arise, and it's very difficult because you are so much caught up in the thoughts. It's very hard to separate yourself from the thoughts. You might even start doing it, and then next thing you know, you've run away and your thoughts have taken you with you. But you need to keep coming back to your breathing and, focusing up here. And what you're doing, you're bringing yourself back to your breathing so that you can, okay, I'm back to the start again. I'm going to watch to see what thoughts come up in my head. And that's what you're doing, constantly going back. And maybe what happens is you're going to start labeling the thoughts that come up. It says, my bank loan is due on Tuesday, and you're going to label that was a thought. And everything that comes up, you're going to label it, that's a thought, that's a thought, that's a thought. You might also have feelings, like maybe your tummy is growling, and maybe you'll label that as well, tummy is growling. You just start labeling everything that arises in your awareness. Because in essence, what you are is awareness. When you become an advanced meditator, you might even come to the conclusion that you are not your body. Strange but true. Just a piece of awareness that is associated with the body. What do I believe? That's what I just told you. That's what I believe. I am a spot of awareness, and I'm aware of the body, what the body feels, and what the mind thinks. And, well, that's probably enough. So anyway, meditate for an hour a day minimum, and you will quite likely start seeing coincidences start to happen. You might watch, when you're driving around, watch license plates and see if you see odd license plates. You might see those personalized license plates with people's names on it. Watch for those, and watch for the number codes. So watch for maybe 3 numbers in a row, 111, 222, 333, 777. It's very important to become very, very alert. In other words, if you go driving around and you basically put yourself on autopilot, you turn the music up full blast on the radio, and la la la, you're drinking your coffee, and you're not even really paying attention, that's not going to be very useful. What I want you to do is get in your car and turn off the radio, and try not to have other people in the car, because they're going to distract you from this task. This task is you driving around by yourself, looking at signs and license plates as much as you can. You have to get away from other people. There's no two ways about it. You have to. Meditation is one way you get away from other people. Getting in your car or going for a walk by yourself is also critical if you want to spiritually evolve yourself. Going to church, forget about it. It does you no good. Going to a temple, no. Disengage. And as far as all your do-good work, drop it. This is more important. It's more important for you, personally, for your own spiritual welfare, to meditate and to separate yourself from other people, even if you're doing good work. Trust me, I've been doing this for a very long time, and this is what I'm given to tell you, because I want you to advance spiritually. And as much as I like to do good work myself, it will all be looked after by others. If you're watching this video, it's because you're supposed to start meditating and get away from other people. Get away from them, because all they're going to do is suck you into drama and suck you into all of the kooky things that they've seen on the news, on the radio, from their friend down the street, and on the internet, and on Facebook, and Instagram, and every other app that there is, or their video games. They're going to want you to play video games, or they're going to want you to go to the bar and do shots. Get away from all of these damn people. Get away from them, get away from them, get away from them. Say, sorry, no, I'm busy, I'm doing yoga. I'm doing meditation, I cannot come. Write it down on your hand. You know, like people used to write cheat notes for school on their hand. You write right there, first thing in the morning, I am doing meditation. And every time someone phones you or talks to you, try and look at your hand and say, oh, I'm doing meditation, I can't come. I'm sorry. You have to put yourself first. And what is most important about putting yourself first? Getting away from all these other people. Get away from them, do your meditation, go for a walk, go for a drive by yourself, no radio, and look. Look, look, look. Because the universe is constantly giving messages. So what do you do for messages? Well, let's see, you are driving along and you see a deer. Well, pull off to the side of the road and go onto your cell phone if you've got data, and go to Google and type in the symbology of a deer. If you see some numbers like, I don't know, if you saw 777, type in angel numbers and 777, and you will get information about what those numbers mean from the angels. Symbology. Whatever you see, if you see on the side of a truck, a big transport truck, it says cardinal. Trust that it means cardinal bird. And then you pull off to the side of the road and you look up what the symbology of a cardinal bird is. Symbology. And who was the master of symbology? I already told you it was the father of psychology, Carl Jung, the synchronicity guy. So symbology, synchronicity, coincidences, angel numbers on license plates, and odd names that you might see. I'm not going to tell you how bizarre it is when I drive around town. And who do I see? Do you remember Happy Days, the old show from the 1970s? What do I see a lot? Chachi Arcola. What does it mean to me? I can't figure it out. It's been going on for months. It's like an inside joke. I haven't figured it out. It's not the first time I've had weird things expressed to me on license plates. Other things you can do. Some people say Walmart is a good place to go. By yourself. Go to Walmart and get a cart, and even if you're not planning on getting groceries, maybe go there when you don't have to get groceries. Just go there and go around with your cart. Because people say that Walmart is the most metaphysical, spiritual place you can go. You will see weird things at Walmart. What did I see weird at Walmart? Well, when I first heard this, I went to Walmart and I saw a young guy and his dad get into a red minivan. And then I looked away for a minute or so, and then I saw the red minivan with the older man driving it drive by me, and the younger man had disappeared. He disappeared. Where did he go? He was there with his dad. He should have got in the minivan. It was the same red minivan. It was an older model red minivan. The young guy disappeared. Call me cookie, call me crazy. These kinds of things will start to happen to you if you meditate and you meditate. So maybe you don't want to see crazy things, and you will say, oh, I'm never going to meditate. I don't want these kooky things to happen. Fine, then you will be run by the Illuminati as a drone, or you will be in some kind of fourth dimensional thing where you will be forced to choose between the dark and the Jedi. What else can I tell you? Well, this tower is all about the ego. Now, a very famous tower, if you've seen The Lord of the Rings, was in Isengard, where the wizard Saruman decided that he was going to be evil. And he went way up to this little area, way up in his tower, and he decided to go and create huge armies of orcs, nasty things. Well, I don't know, I feel kind of sorry for the orcs, because they were kind of like the drones of the evil emperor. And it's sort of the same thing, it's the same kind of story. You've got an evil wizard, and, he's got all his drones, his people in his armies that are fighting all his battles for him. And, I do feel kind of sorry for the orcs. But anyway, what happened in the end was Isengard and the wizard Saruman was overthrown. And if you read about the tarot, what happens is that if you have got an enormous ego and you're way lipping up in the tower, you will end up finally, either your tower will be like the Leaning Tower of Pizza, and it will fall over, or you will have to jump, or you'll be thrown from your tower, and you will land on the grass, which is the next stage in the tarot card. It is called the Fool on the Grass. Anyway, I always talk about this because we're still dealing with incredible numbers of enormous egoed people. Now, in addition to humans' ego, there is known as the collective ego of all humanity, the global ego. How does this manifest? Well, it manifests a lot in the players that you see on regular television news. So Donald Trump is a manifestation of the collective ego of the world, America in particular. If you look at the incredible dichotomy between people that are pro-Trump and anti-Trump, basically they want to go and tear each other's heads off. That is because the global ego is all about polarity between me and my group and you and your group, and we will never agree on anything. We hate each other. So what happens when you become a spiritual person? Well, what did you learn in church? The only important thing that you learn in church is you have to forgive everybody, even the evil emperor. Nobody wants to. But, the story is that everyone on planet Earth, believe it or not, is an actor. And they don't know. The vast majority of humans have no idea that they are actors. Because they, as I said earlier with my meditation talk, they think that they are their thoughts. These are my thoughts, and the thoughts are me. And the thoughts that come into me that tell me to go and do this and do that and do this and do that, they're mine, made by my brain. No, they're not. But you'll have to trust me on that for now. I'm going to tell you that you are running a script. And the script is coming to your little brain from source fields. In other words, fields of God that are at different levels of consciousness. Some are very low, like greed and anger and apathy, that run, the dark people, And then there are higher fields of consciousness, what we see quite a bit, if you think of university professors, they're running at the level of logic, which was like Mr. Spock in the original Star Trek, the Vulcan. Logic and rational mind is not the highest form of consciousness, believe it or not. There are different versions of what they call peace, for example, which are much higher. And you can continually go up higher, and then perhaps that's where they got the idea of ascending, because you're ascending to higher levels of consciousness, which is less and less about the ego and more about the spirit. Who is the spirit? G-O-D. Not the Old Testament God that was about, fire and brimstone and, casting you into the pit of hell. Basically, a benevolent Jesus-like person that wants to forgive you for everything, because they know that, you've been run around on a script like an actor and you didn't know about it this whole time. But, you had this lecture, and the reason you're watching this lecture is so that you get updated on exactly what's going on. Well, this has been 38 minutes, and perhaps that's enough lecture. I could go on probably for another long time, but maybe I'll do another lecture another time. Anyway, we'll call this lecture How to Meditate and What's Going On with Earth Ascension, and what's going on with my cosmic characters that I'm doing here on this YouTube channel, and what's going on with UFOs and extra dimensions, and what's going on with the global ego, what's going on with these enormous towers of ego, what's going on with alienation, aliens in the nation. Why is that? Because, do I believe there's aliens on the planet already? Yes, I do believe that there are aliens already on the planet, and unlike in Star Trek, where they had first contact between, the people that worked for the Federation, going and saying, hey, we're with the Federation, we're space cadets and space things. It hasn't happened here. Everyone just knows from sci-fi movies, and everyone says, well, it's just Hollywood and it's not real. Do I believe it's real? Absolutely, I do believe that these extraterrestrials are on planet Earth. Do I believe it's a flat Earth or a round Earth? I think it is simulated to be a globe, yes. I say simulated because nothing is really real here. It seems real. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it looks like a table to me. But it is a holographic reality where everyone here is running on a script and they're actors. So there is nothing, real about actors doing acting. And you were born into this simulation. I was. And I didn't know that it was a simulation until fairly recently. And the script thing, we're all on scripts, something I found. And I'm not going to tell you that a lot of so-called spiritual people or people who are into UFOs or Earth Ascension, I'm going to tell you most of those people are clueless and stupid. Because they are still running scripts because they do not do the one thing I told you that you must do. They did not get away from other people to be by themselves and be quiet and meditate so that they can learn that all the thoughts and feelings going through this body that isn't even you are running a script, and it is all part of the grand Sananda, the Ascended Master I talked to you about earlier, said that what's going on is a great play in consciousness. In other words, a play is something full of actors. Actors run scripts, and you're all actors in this reality game, this simulation. How do you get away from your script? You can't. You cannot get away from it other than meditating and learning that there is script. Because even today, now that I know that the thoughts that come into my brain and the feelings that come into the body and the words that come out of my mouth, I know they're all script because I am not making them up. I do not know what I'm going to say before I open my big yip. I do not know what character is going to come through. The former person that used to be thinking that he was a body and a mind, now know that all I am is the observer and the one that communicates with you. It's true. So am I alienated? Yes and no. I'm alienated from humans because I know they're running scripts. And most of the scripts that people run are incredibly dull and boring. It is all about sex, money, power, booze, drugs, and, there are medical problems, because everyone seems to have medical problems. I find it incredibly boring. The only people that I might find interesting are people who are very creative people, and they're pretty far between. It's very hard to find an original, creative person, because to find one of those, you had to find somebody who was on a spiritual path and meditated the hell out of themselves. So they can learn all these things that I'm telling you. I can tell you these things, and you'll file it away in your intellectual mind, and you'll say, well, this kook actor on YouTube told me this, and I don't believe it because I've never seen a meaningful coincidence in my whole life. And I am not about to go and spend an hour a day sitting on my ass, focused up here and on my breathing, looking to see if these thoughts are mine or not. How do I know this? Because I was that person. I don't know, 15 years ago. I was kind of curious, and I went to hear a speaker talk about meditation. And, I got the little handout that they gave. Did I meditate? No, I didn't. I thought the man was a kook. A religious nut. That's what I thought. And I still kind of had in the back of my mind that I still wanted to try meditation, but, unfortunately I was busy drinking, chasing people to be my best friend, for the night, and drinking and finding new friends and reading newspapers and watching movies, listening to music, talking to my friends about all my new friends. In other words, I was like a Kardashian. I was never rich Kardashian, but I was a very, low rent Kardashian kind of person. But eventually, one thing I had going for me is I was a reader, and I was a voracious reader in between my drinking and chasing tail and talking about it with all my friends and all these other things. I was a voracious reader. How I read when I was all hungover, I don't know, but I did. And I read a lot of offbeat books. Were they spiritual books? Some of them you might call spiritual, religious. Some of them were New Age. And I will give you Carlos Castaneda's books as being very significant for me. The Celestine Prophecy books by James Redfield were very significant for me. Many other books were very important too, and I've got a huge number of books that I've read, and I've got sort of a corpus, in other words, a huge collections of books that I've read that are in my intellectual mind that my script will refer to from time to time. So if you've never read a spiritual book in your life, should you? Perhaps. J. Donald Walter's book on meditation is very good, although it's very thick. And a lot of these books on meditation are way too thick. And no, scratch that. Don't go looking for J. Donald Walter's book. Don't go looking for any Zen book, any Buddhist book, any Christian book. Do what I told you. Sit on your ass. Focus up here. Pay attention to your breathing. Watch what thoughts come up and what feelings come up in your body, and learn that you are simply the awareness of these things. Got it?